This is the Tango 2. Well, this is my Tango 2. It's had a custom paint job, but apart from that, it's exactly the same as any other. Developed and released by TBS quite a few months ago now, but they were plagued with production problems, so it's taken me a while to get mine. That means this review is a little late, but if you haven't decided whether you want one, or more interestingly, if you've decided you don't want one, then this video might convince you otherwise. Now, I use a Futaba for my daily radio, and I've no plans on swapping to the Tango 2, but there is two reasons why I, and probably every one of you, could benefit from owning one. The first is this. For those interested, this is the Freestyle Bag from Tango, but basically it's just a very small bag. With the Tango 2, you can take out everything you need for a quick fly in something this tiny. Even with the DJI goggles, still everything fits nicely. And it's real nice of TBS that what they've done is they've designed it with this in mind, really. Everything is fold down to the most compact shape, and then it just slides in. So this is really good if you ever want to just have like a few packs after work or just go for a fly in your lunch break. It's really nice to have this rather than the big backpack. So this is where it gets good. You just goggles on, gimbals up, and within 10 seconds you're basically ready to fly. This is such a stark contrast to what we're used to when you have the big rucksacks, you have to screw the antennas on. And yeah, and especially when you're flying things like this, when you're flying like whoop style things, like the logistics of carrying around the huge rucksack and the big radio just to fly something this small kind of doesn't really make sense. This kind of makes sense. Right, before we go on to actually talking about the radio during a flight, this is reason 2. Now, the TBS-2 is a crossfire only radio. There's potential for that to change in future, but that's not what this video is about. So with Crossfire, there's now a new feature called Multibind, which allows you to use multiple transmitters on the same receiver. Now it can work between any Crossfire TX, like the TX Lite that I have in this radio, and the TX that's built into the Tango 2. Any Crossfire TXs work, although you do need a Wi-Fi module installed. So the Lite modules and the full-size modules, they need the JR Bay adapter, which is something I didn't realize the first time I was trying to set it up. So I was trying to set it up with the Futaba and it wasn't working. So I had to sort of hack it together on a radio that could use the JR Bay. So it was a little bit fiddly for me the first time. The other thing is you need Crossfire firmware 3.7 or above. That's currently a beta firmware release. So if you're worried about that, then you can wait for the full release, but I don't think it'll be too long till that is out. You need to activate and update your Wi-Fi module in the TX Lite or the Micro TX, and there's a good tutorial by Kamikaze FPV that I'll link in the description about how to do that. And then once you've done that and you're up to date with 3.7 on the Crossfire, then you can go ahead and enable Multibind. There's also another very smart dude by the name of Philip Seidel who has a tutorial on how to do that, and I will link that in the description as well. The benefits of this system should be fairly straightforward though. If I power on this quad, so with a powered up quad, I can power up the Tango 2 and arm. That works. If I turn off the Tango 2, and then turn on the Futaba, that also works. So, another nice invention by TBS. It works kind of just as you'd expect it to. Let's get back to the field and talk about the radio during a flight. I'm going to fly this. This is a little naked GoPro, like 2-inch Cinewhoop, nice and small. And yeah, great little pairing with the Tango 2. Nice little tiny package. Whee. So why not just use the Tango 2 full time? That's probably the main question. Why bother having the multi-bind and using a large radio as well? And I mean, it's personal preference, but for me, I find that the gimbals are quite low on the controller, so I really don't feel like I have quite as much precision when flying as when using a big radio. Also, just something about having the large radio and the neck strap and having it balancing on your stomach is kind of, I don't know, that feels more comfortable. Maybe it's something you could get used to, perhaps. You could certainly get used to this radio more, and then maybe it would become a daily driver. But for me, with the multi-bind, there's kind of no reason to. You can have 2 radios, all bound to everything, and use whichever one you feel like. It is comfortable, but I think I had a long session of about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes on the sim with this, and I did feel my hands starting to cramp up a little bit more than when I used the bigger radio. So again, could just be me. It's quite a subjective thing. Another thing is that the output power is limited to 250 milliwatts on this, whereas on the full-size module you can go up to 2 watts. 250 milliwatts is still fairly good, but it's not just long range that you would suffer from. If you're in a built-up area around a lot of offices or a lot of Wi-Fi or cell towers, then you would want the extra power just for like peace of mind. So one of the other things that I've found difficult to get used to so far is these flat switches. They are really good for portability, carrying in the bag, and obviously they're going to be much more durable than having big switches hanging off the edge, but I still find it a little bit nervy when I'm coming into land and having to hit that disarm, and it's like a push button rather than just a switch that you can flick with your hand. So for me, that's just another minor niggle. Look at this, it's so good. Like, just throw it in the bag, job done. It is convenient. That's it, it's done. 2 drones I've got with me, you wouldn't know it. 2 drones, a remote, goggles, digital as well. All fits in this handy little case. Right, well, there you go. 2 reasons why I think the Tango 2 is a good radio for pretty much everyone. You can multi-bind, so you don't need to choose which radio to use with each quad. You can basically chop and change, use whatever is more appropriate for the time. So really, it's kind of just a really good complement radio. It's super tiny, so it's really, really convenient. I would say just have a second bag. You can keep maybe 6 big packs in this bag and a drone on the outside, your goggles and your radio on the inside. It's kind of perfect. And if you're using analog goggles as well, then you have even more room. It's an even smaller setup. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Hope it's maybe informed your decision of whether you need a Tango 2 now or not. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.